26th.
From the beach.
Haven't heard from him.
Hello?
Gary,
Yeah.
this is Carolyn. We're at the board meeting at this time, and we'll get started.
Okay. All right, so I can just sit and listen, right?
You can. Everybody can hear you really well.
Thanks, Bob.
We're going to mute it.
Put you on the table here, okay?
If there's no noise in the background, there will be. Not good in here. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Also, Gary, I don't know if you received my text, but I guess since you're on a conference call, you can actually take action on vote.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's just good to listen.
Yes, okay. Just want to make it clear. All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is discussion and possible action of working budget for 2013-14. Also, just want to notate that we do have Gary Ball on the conference call for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have a couple of handouts in front of you. You should have a hard copy of the working budget. You may have printed one off or viewed another version of that, previous version, online with the notification of the board meeting, but use the hard copy that has been placed before you. Also, there is a PowerPoint that has been given to you. On the top of it says working budget, September 26, 2014, the special board meeting. Ms. Sloan will walk us through the working budget. If you have any questions during this time, we'd be happy to respond to those. Ms. Sloan?
Fiscal year 2014, working budget, September 26, 2013, special board meeting. And if you'll turn the pages, second page is financial concerns. We have less seat allocation from the state in fiscal year 2014. Decreased enrollment in ADA is a concern. Effects of sequestration on our budget is a concern. Decreased state funding through grants. Higher insurance costs and fringes. Higher cost of fuel and supplies. Maintenance cost. The $45,000 Kisbit liability payment is a concern. The $600,000 total Kisbit liability. $30,000 higher insurance cost. And of course, the last one is Head Start operational cost is a concern. Revenue versus expenditures. Per student, ADA. Fiscal year 13, we received from the state $3,833 per student. That's actual. Fiscal year 14, we will receive $3,827 per student, and that is an estimate. We receive an estimate in September, one in January, and a final seat allocation in May. Estimated seat funds fiscal year 14 will be $8,393,770. Actual seat funds fiscal year 13 was $8,680,951. Estimated $287,181 less seat funds in 2014 than received in 2013. Revenue versus expenditures. Tax revenue increase of approximately will bring in approximately $100,000 if it's at 4%. The next page is enrollment trends. I would just like for you to take notice that in 92, 93, and then 97, 98, we were close to 2,800 students in the district. And as you see, you can see the decline. And now we're at around 2,050. That is enrollment. And this information and this graph was given to me by Craig Grayson, our DPD.
Board, the two columns that you have there, you have average daily attendance in the first column, or rather after you have the year, and then you have average daily attendance and then average daily membership. Your average daily membership column is the total membership or enrollment that we have in the school, in high school 9 through 12. The average daily attendance is what our seat is based on. So if you take previous page of the fiscal 14 estimate of the SEEK, $3,827 per pupil, we use the ADA, which is 1814. That means on average how many students are in the building every day. It's not against the membership. So if you do the calculations, remember it's based upon the ADA and not the ADA.
Sequestration, federal projects. If sequestration truly continues for the entire 10-year period at a 5% net reduction per year, then generally translates into a 50% reduction in current federal funding levels by the end of sequestration. And if you see some of our larger grants over to the left, and then those are from 2012 amounts, compared them to our allocations in 2013, you can see the reductions. Now, there's a couple of grants that just were not renewed, but you can at least see the effect of the sequestration on our grants, which is our funding, which funds salaries, supplies, programs. The next page is reduction in state grants. And even though this looks minimal, it affects salaries. If someone is paid in a grant and there's a reduction, then it usually translates into more than what you see to the right there because of fringes and so forth as the board picks up. And textbooks, the state hasn't allocated money for textbooks in several years. But the schools can purchase those through their instructional money. On the next page is fiscal year 2014 goals. That field trips are self-sustained by the schools. Attendance of students and staff. Improvement of attendance of students and staff. Reducing the cost of substitutes is a goal. Continue to reduce staff as vacancies occur. Continuous staffing allocation reduction. Facility improvement is a goal. Dual credit opportunities. Budget committee formed. Retroactive employee compensation is a goal. 2013-14 accomplishments. All schools have received their instructional money, Section 6 allocations. They are now spending on their instructional money. Fiscal year 14 working budget is balanced with a minimum of 2% carryover into fiscal year 2015. Not filling vacant positions have helped to balance the 2014 budget. Closing the high school has brought on savings of approximately $300,000 in maintenance and operational cost of the building. Overcome accomplishments is to overcome a deficit ending balance from fiscal year 2013. And of course, our ending balance before the unaudited version, the first AFR was submitted, was $250,000 in the red. With adjustments and additional accounts receivable, their ending balance is approximately $125,000 in black. In black. In the black. Yes, very good. Okay.
All right, so that means we're about $110,000 from having our 2%.
I believe so.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you want to glance at the working budget, I know there's a lot to see, but there's some things I want to point out to you. Now, I also want to let the board know that this budget was based on no experience raises with our employees. It was also based on the 4% tax rate. So as we go through it, just some highlights, if you'll glance at it. Our beginning balance for the year, fiscal year 2014, $125,771, which was our ending balance. Now, when our auditor gives his end of the year audit report, he may give another number, and the reason he gives another number is there are items that are required to be on the balance sheets. Our sick leave is escrowed, so it increases our fund balance, but the only money that we can use is this beginning balance of the $125,000. If you will put down the sheet with me, you see prior year, last year, and then this year's fiscal year 14 budget. In last year's, our total revenue in general property tax was $1,347,437.63. With the 4%, you will see an increase of revenue, which will bring us up to $1,462,000. $1,462,000. Now, our franchise tax, what we received last year was $199,799.88. And we received on Friday a check from the Sheriff's Department for franchise tax for $354,000. And the check was reaching back into 2009. So that's not a typical year. We can't expect that next year. Are you okay, Gary?
Okay, yeah. I'm all right, and I just spoke about $135,000 is what we'll need. $260,000 in contingency money, right? That's what we need. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, all right. I misspoke. All right, sorry about that.
That's okay. So we have budgeted for the franchise tax for the current year, not extending into what a typical year would be, $603,000 for our franchise tax. As I go down the page, I'm trying to see some things that are highlighted or that I need to bring to your attention.
Just to clarify, that includes the 354 we just got.
It does, yes.
We're not expecting
No.
another 60.
No, that includes that. You're right. That is that plus what a typical year might bring, 199 plus another 50, which is what we actually expected. So that's like an additional 400,000. And that is what we have to spend this year. If we go to page 2, I want to point out, and if you're looking at this at home, board members, or you're studying it, there are some journal entries that say on behalf, and those on behalf payments is not money that we have received. Trying to find one on what page, maybe on page 3. On page 3. Page 3 is an on behalf, yes, on page 3 is an on behalf. And that is just journal entries we do for our yearly reports. These are on behalf payments that the state makes on behalf of our employees. So it's not cash that we received last year and didn't receive this year is what I want to point out. And then at the bottom of page 2, you'll see the difference at the very bottom of our SEEK money. From the year before last, we received $9,027,000. Last year, in fiscal year 13, we received $8,680,000, and we are budgeting, and this is the estimate from the state of $8,393,770. And you can see the drastic change. On page 5, you can see that where, according to everything that we have done so far and that has been done in not replacing vacancies, of course, this also is a number that is without the year's experience raise. You can see the difference at the top of page 5 of what an impact has been done on salaries, a savings to the budget. And scattered throughout here are on behalf payments. If you will go to page 6, we'd like to show the board members our contingency. We have budgeted $506,602 for contingency for fiscal year 14. Now within that, you have $270 that is your 2% carryover. So that's $270. If you take $170 for an experience raise retroactive for experience raise, and that's another 170. So 270 plus 170 brings you out to 440,000. 440,000 of that 506 would be obligated, and then that would leave us with about 60,000 wiggle room.
Okay, I'll get that 60,000, okay. All the stuff that you were just talking about, we pay the teachers their raise and leave the $270,000 in contingency money. Now, is all this budget, is this figured on the 4% increase?
Yes.
Or, okay, I just want to make it clear.
Yes, because you would not have the 170 if you did not have the 4%. Do you have any questions? Any questions?
I think 5, but we have